F123 is 23% unplayable in VR. How did they get to that number? Before we whip out our calculators, let's start off with some positives. I have a pretty decent rig, but I still have to run medium to low settings in F122. These are the settings I normally ran in that game, with semi-consistent results. I was surprisingly able to decrease certain graphic settings like post-processing and weather effects this year without much performance loss, although I would keep it the same for more consistent performance. In F123, it records the left eye view, and for my VR wizards watching, please sound off in the comments if there's any way to choose which side is being displayed and recorded. Anyways, despite being drenched in piss, this game just looks and runs better than last year, subjectively speaking. As you already know, the difference in handling is night and day. Speaking of the day, everything runs smoothly as far as I can test in other tracks and other game modes, even other lighting conditions. At night though, it's a completely different story. That is where the supernatural shit begins. The ghost of all our spins and crashes from F122 come haunting the tracks at night. From what my non-game dev brain can gather, the light beams render separately from each eye and suffer from a horrendous trailing and ghosting issue. You can't see what's going on in my right eye, so you gotta trust me on this one. It appears the right eye has the correct placement of the light beams, but for the left eye, the light which you are seeing, the beam is offset by like 10 meters, but the right eye has a completely different lighting plan baked in. The way they overlap, your brain gets messed up and some objects in the distance feel like they have an opacity to them where your left eye cannot see the rendered image. It is very trippy, and I'm sure some indie horror dev could come up with some novel way to disorient the player. But this is not an indie horror dev trying to make a sleeper hit. It's Codemasters and EA trying to make a copy-paste AAA sports title. A minor version of this bug was present in F122's night races as well. I was able to get around it by lowering the lighting quality to low, which immediately solved the issue. Another issue I found while recording this video is that F123 has no menu or HUD while driving outside of a race. Time trial, free practice, and even qualifying do not display any sort of HUD while out on track. There aren't any sort of menu indicating your practice program progress, or even when your lap is invalidated from exceeding track limits. In quali, the much needed session timer is also missing. They've completely stripped away anything other than an MFD for what I'm assuming is immersion. Where's my real-life, real-time engineer then?
Box this lap.
Didn't receive that. Repeat the message.
Mark Presley, dude, that guy don't know shit.
Box this lap.
Currently the fastest lap is
Bothers me every time I'm in the middle of a corner in the middle of a push lap.
2 minutes remaining in the session. We need a good lap here or we're out of qualifying.
Oh my god, you're kidding me.
Well, what happened? Let me know you're okay.
What happened? You're f***ing talking to my ear.
The original issue I brought up regarding lighting and ghosting issues persists in every single night race in F123, including, unfortunately, the two new racetracks, Qatar and Las Vegas. It is such a trip, by the way, to be driving Las Vegas. I live about 6 hours away in Los Angeles, and my family has been to Vegas over the years because my grandma has a minor gambling addiction, which led to many vacations amongst the thick cloud of secondhand cigarette smoke and shameless solicitors of brothels to any walking by, including an 8-year-old Simon walking with his family. Dude, they got it. They got the Nevada hotel. Hell yeah. Ooh, whoopsies. Ignore that. Oh shit, do they have my favorite shop? Yes, they do. They got the amusements. Yeah, they even got my Las Vegas boutique. Treasure Island, Las Vegas Hotel. A classic right across the street from the Plaza Nevada and the Las Vegas Hotel. The fact that they couldn't shell out for the actual licenses of these buildings just give it an uncanny, unreal marketplace asset grab feeling. I don't know about you, but I feel like grabbing a bite at the Winners restaurant after my inaugural win here. Probably spent the night at the penthouse of the Winners Hotel as well. Interestingly enough, Jeddah doesn't have the same lighting issues, but the performance is extremely choppy and jittery compared to any other lighting condition. Unfortunately, the jitteriness doesn't really show up on the recording, but it's also hella blurry as well. This weird issue of things rendering separately from each eye also persists in wet races. The spray from the cars ahead render independently from eye to eye, which makes some cars just look ghostly. In this case, the left eye renders spray from the cars farther ahead, whereas the right eye, which you cannot see, is getting in on the splash zone action from the cars directly ahead. Again, trust me. It's disorienting, and coupled with the performance drop, finishing a 100% race just seems out of the question. This one does have a fix, but it requires you to turn off particles entirely, which sucks because even the water droplets on your visors flew off, and obviously the cars in front of you said no water down your face, which don't limit your view, which is 90% of the immersion in wet races. So you're just left with driving on ice. If I wanted to drive on ice, I might as well just switch to F122 for that. Enough for being a Debbie Downer though. Everything else seems to work pretty decent on VR, based on my not so many hours of research, admittedly. But can you blame me? The first 2 races are night races, and I got as far as Q2 before my computer and my brain just shut off from the jitteriness and just disorienting nature of this glitch. But the thing is, I really want to spend more time with this game. Seriously? I really want to get into this game so badly. The handling is honestly leagues better than the last year's. After only about 30 laps in time trial in Bahrain, my body was already adjusted to the new grip levels. I've already tried to go back to F122, but I couldn't even manage to get a clean 5-lap stint in with the Season 1 My Team car, which is saying something because I have over 300 hours in that god-awful game. So, 5.5, the half being Jeddah, of the 23 calendar races are unavailable for VR drivers. Doing some very basic math, we find out that 23% of the game is unavailable for VR drivers. Even that is rounding down, and that's not including the fact that wet races are barely available. My only solution is to start a season without any night races to skip any wet ones until they patch the issues. That is, if they patch the issues. Again, a minor version of this issue has occurred in F122, and now I'm breeding it affects some users even outside of VR. I really hope they get on this. I probably can survive more than 9 races a season with a new handling model. I'll admit though, it hasn't even been a full week since its full release, but the hype of this game and the handling model for once is real, and us mid-gear VR people want in on the action too. My non-existent viewers, sound off in the comments if you're facing similar issues, or if you have any suggestions or tricks to help mitigate these issues for other people facing similar issues. Good lord, can I say issues anymore? Otherwise, let's get EA and Codemasters' attention as best we can to try and fix this ASAP. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I'll see you probably never. Toodles.